You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
So in some of Seattle's most expensive communities, business owners and residents, they're just basically doing whatever they need to survive. And I've touched on this topic before. The newly elected member to the Seattle City Council, who is, dare I say, I believe, a Republican, she owns Fremont Brewing Company, and that is located in Fremont, which is just a little bit to the north and west of downtown Seattle. These businesses and these homeowners, they are placing eco blocks, which are these enormous concrete, they're these things, these concrete blocks that you put outside of your home, outside of your business, and it makes it so that RVs can't park there. So Seattle's got all this crazy technology. We've got all of these crazy technology companies. We've got Amazon. We've got Microsoft. We've got Facebook, just all of this. And businesses are having to put gigantic pieces of concrete in front of their business locations to stop RVs from parking there forever. That's literally, there's a channel right now called the Wild West, and it basically just shows clips of all of the working girls on Aurora in Seattle. That is literally what the channel is designed to show. We've got that going on. We've got people living in RVs just willy-nilly. And now this story is that the city can fine these businesses and these homeowners $1,000 for their first offense for illegally putting out these concrete blocks, because nobody's getting a permit. They're just like, yeah, give me a dozen blocks, and they're like $20 a piece. And you get them delivered and you plunk them there. And the theory is nobody can pick those things up unless you've got a crane. You're not picking those things up. And you certainly can't pick up maybe 4 or 5 of them and move your RV in. So it deters RVs from staying there longer than the 72-hour rule, which the city of Seattle is also not enforcing. There's no enforcement of anything going on in Seattle. Crime? Oh, what's that? Let's just let her rip. And I literally saw all of these stories yesterday. I was over in Seattle, and the location where a lot of these eco blocks are happening is Lake Union. And there's some super nice restaurants on the north end of Lake Union that have these waterfront views to downtown Seattle skyline. It's epic. It's cool. And across the street, there's just this line of RVs that I've watched get larger and larger. This community just larger and larger. These are people that are living illegally on our streets, and they are choosing this lifestyle. Now, the city of Seattle has had RV encampments before, but those went away because of lack of interest. People don't want to follow rules. Interesting. So now businesses are creating their own logistics, putting these concrete eco blocks out in front so people can't park there. Yeah, it's not legal, but literally, here's a clip that I want you to hear.
Part of doing business in the city of Seattle. The city's not going to do anything about it. What are we to do? We are at a point to we are on our own.
New at 6, when it comes to the homeless crisis, some business owners in Seattle say they have to take matters into their own hands to keep their doors open, and they're doing it with eco blocks.
And this controversial tactic to prevent RVs from parking on city streets is gaining momentum, and part of the reason is that the city has yet to fine anyone for doing it.
So the city just basically not doing much of anything. But before we jump on in here, if you're new, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies here in the Seattle, Washington area, and I read news for reasonable people. All right, let's do this. In some Seattle neighborhoods, residents and businesses take steps on their own to block RVs. It's really gotten out of hand. It's just, when you get a couple, everybody is just like, oh, okay, this is a free-for-all. We can go in here and we can just park our RV. And with that comes drugs. With that comes prostitution. With that comes selling illegal stuff. With that comes a litany of crime. All you got to do is read the news stories. Just do a quick Google search for crime news stories in Seattle, and you'll come up with one after another after another. And it's gotten so bad that the local news outlets, they're kind of backing off of the whole, well, we don't really want to call all these people homeless, because then that really puts a spotlight on what's going on. And, we're a reasonable community, so we don't, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. So that's why you've literally got business owners, these legit business owners going, all right, yeah, well, in one of the stories, the reporter is asking the business owner, okay, what if the city of Seattle starts fining you? And the owner he thought for a second, and he's like, well, okay, whatever, do what you got to do. We're doing what we got to do. And this is in a city where you've got all this crazy technology and all these billions and billions of dollars floating around. I mean, it's billions of dollars. Jeff Bezos of Amazon built a ship so big in Rotterdam, I think it was, in the Netherlands, that they're having to break down and rebuild a bridge just to get his ship sailed into the nearest nearby ocean, whatever that is. And everybody's in a roar. Oh, Jeff Bezos, he's ruining that old style architecture. Well, yeah, but he got to build a 441-foot yacht. And that drew all these, all these jobs to that economy. And everybody's all worked up about tearing down a bridge so they can get the boat out. My point being, when you've got enough money to build a 441-foot yacht, the world's largest, there should be a way for the city to capitalize on those taxes. Amazon's in Seattle. They're moving to Bellevue because Seattle did a tax Amazon. You've already got enough tax base to take care of all this. We just don't have the systems in place because leadership to date has, not really done much. And now they're not doing much when the local citizens are taking matters into their own hands. It's literally the Wild West. You drive down these streets and you're like, oh, that's not good. Oh, yeah, good Lord, what's going on there? This is horrible. And just the conditions that people are living in are really, really sad. I mean, that could be one of my kids. That could be somebody's parents. Oftentimes they're folks that are just not dealing with a full deck of cards, or a lifestyle choice a lot of times. Hey, I'm just going to live in my RV on the side of the road, downtown Seattle, got all kinds of support, make a go of it. Yeah. And having these RVs in your community or outside of your business, that's not the way this is supposed to go. So if you want to live in your RV, in the past, there have been areas where you could post up. There have been lots where you can post up, but nobody wants to, by choice, live in those because they don't want to live by rules. Okay, so with Mediterranean-style seafood menu and breathtaking views of downtown Seattle, Westward Restaurant sits on prime waterfront real estate in the Lake Union neighborhood. So it's literally looking at downtown Seattle. It's really cool. You've got ships going past. Ships go out to the ocean through the Ballard Locks. Ships go past this restaurant. They go into Lake Washington. I mean, it's just one of those iconic deals. But across the street, literally across the street, you've just got this row of broken down RVs and garbage, and some of them try and keep them up, but broken down cars, various stages of their axles being worked on, and, blue tarps and just a bunch of stuff. So it does sit on prime waterfront real estate in the Lake Union neighborhood, but literally across the street. It's a narrow 2-lane street. It's narrow because I've driven my big truck through there with my jet skis behind. And I was like, oh, this is kind of tricky getting around all these RVs and pulling on this narrow street. But assistant manager Rachel Fream of the Westward restaurant says that they're also dealing with a much less appetizing situation across the street. Several RVs that have parked in the area that provide as homes for people living inside. And by several, I mean a lot. I mean, it's lined with RVs. I was shocked. I think last summer, 2 summers ago, there were some, a handful, a couple, a few. And last summer, more. And just recently, I was over there and it was like, oh, wow. Yeah, this is RV Lane. And that was probably 3 weeks ago. So this is part of winter. So you've got a real community of folks living there illegally. And so the businesses they're doing whatever they need to keep their businesses going. So we sort of feel powerless to do anything about it, she said. Even after a recent sweep by city crews, North Lake Way remains jam-packed with dozens of RVs and vehicles that homeless people living inside, some of which have been abandoned or burned down. Yeah, there are a couple that are literally like burned up cars. Not like, they are. They're, yeah. And then you're looking at the skyline of like Amazon City. It's just this crazy dichotomy of, all right, here we've got technology. Here we've got businesses relying on hunks of concrete to stay in business. Weird, right? So she said this is the manager of the restaurant. She said this encampment has also brought criminal activity to the area, including break-ins and illegal drug use, and oftentimes prostitution and the whole litany. I mean, you don't even have to make this stuff up. You just read what's going on, or take a drive by on a Friday night in summer when it's really late here in Seattle, and you can just kind of see the various things going on. And let's just say you wouldn't take your kindergarten school class there on a field trip. Yep. No, don't do it. Don't even think about it. So we've been losing business, Fream said, or people call and complain saying they didn't feel safe walking down here. Well, because it's not. It's just simply not. And folks defending the RVs oftentimes want to say, well, it's an affordable real estate problem. Yeah, but that still doesn't make parking your camper on a public street, where businesses are trying to operate or people are trying to live legitimately in homes that they are paying for. It doesn't make that legal. So whatever happened, I saw somebody post something the other day, whatever happened to budgeting and figuring out a place where you can afford. You don't have to live in Seattle where it's very expensive. There's lots of other communities out there that are much cheaper. So how about some personal responsibility? Far too reasonable, isn't it? Yeah, that theory, we can't have that. Far too reasonable. No, we just need to harp on the affordable housing thing, because you know what? Affordable housing in Seattle, those days are gone. Those days are gone. And in a lot of these other cities too. San Francisco, those days are gone. I mean, I don't see it any other way. Maybe other people do, oh, we do this. Oh, well, we do that. All right. I'm a real estate guy. I've been a real estate guy for a long, long time. Guess what? Good luck with that. I don't see the options being there. So got to deal with current reality. And current reality is you can't have RVs parked on the public street just creating a community that's out of control. So Jill Irvine says that some of the RVs are also blocking parts of the walking path along North Lake Way. And I believe that is the Burt Gilman Trail, is it not? I think it is. It's just not an option anymore, Irving said. It's no longer accessible. That's why a few weeks ago, Westward's building owner, Mark Gray, and some other area businesses bought massive concrete slabs known as ecology or eco blocks at a cost of $20 a piece. How can you put that much concrete into these structures and have it only be $20 a piece? You buy a bag of Quick from Home Depot. It's not that cheap, but okay, whatever. $20. All right, I'll take a dozen. Yeah, what are you going to do with them? I mean, these things are so heavy. How much do they weigh? Are they like 1,000 pounds a pop? I don't know. But they're heavy. I mean, you just look at them and you go, all right, let's not, pull our car into one of those, because you're not going to win that battle. That's a losing battle. So the controversial tactic to prevent RVs from parking on city streets is gaining momentum in the business community. I don't blame them, because it's literally a free-for-all. All right, you're going to park your RV there. The minute you get swept out of here, I'm going to bring in an eco block. I don't know. city's not going to do anything. Do what you got to do. Gray is hoping that these barriers keep other RVs from moving in, since the city refuses to tow vehicles if they are considered as someone's home, but they're illegally parked on the street. Yeah. I don't know if they want to fine us. Fine, Gray said. Fine the group that did it. Fine. He's basically saying fine to fine us. $1,000? Okay. But because the flip side to that is these businesses are going to, this is a good investment. This is a smart investment. And to have to put eco blocks outside of your business because the city refuses to do anything. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The Seattle Department of Transportation says that it is legal to place large objects like eco blocks in a public place. A first-time offense carries a $1,000 fine. Well, in Seattle, anything goes right now. So I wouldn't be too worried about businesses. And obviously, the RVers, they don't fear any governmental agency. They're just out parking wherever. It's crazy. In Seattle, you'd be driving along I-5 and underneath overpasses and just, a bunch of tents, and somebody will like dig out like an area of slope and make it level so you can put your tent. They got like these big tree houses. It's just, it's literally just, it's okay. It's Seattle. Just do what you want. Okay. But as the Seattle Department of Transportation has only given out warnings so far, the agency would not say that why they have not taken enforcement action yet. Well, because they know if they take enforcement action on that, then those owners are going to go, hey, these RVs that have been parked here for more than 72 hours, you need to get them out of here as well. Fair enough, right? But you can't move them if people are living in them because that's their home. So there is the rub, right? That's the rub. So it makes it hard on the homeless to find a safe place to live, says the Reverend Bill Curlin-Hackett, who is from the Interfaith Task Force on Homelessness, adding that the big gray eco blocks are a problem that is worsened by the lack of enforcement from the city. He sees it as a problem because it's an impediment to the homeless parking the RVs there. Okay, I will use the kindest words right now. I think they are confused about it right now and they don't know what to do. I say you create an encampment for the RVs somewhere further out where you've got dump, you've got services, you've got water, you've got electricity so these rigs can run. It's going to be way cheaper to do that than battle this. But then everybody's got to go there. If they want to live in their RV for free on the city's dime, then you got to live in a regulated area. Okay? That's never going to happen. So we deal with what we deal with and businesses do what they got to do. For months now, more eco blocks have been popping up all across the city, including ones placed on the street in Ballard by Fremont Brewery owner Sarah Nelson, who also sits on the Seattle City Council Board. It's now part of doing business in the city of Seattle, said Tim Wistrom, owner of Atlas Construction. We are at a point now where we are on our own. This is a business owner paying taxes into the city. It's the whole point of government is to take care of this infrastructure. That is not happening in Seattle. It's a free-for-all. It is Freeattle for a certain segment of people. Other people are looking at $1,000 fines. All right, you could say that the owners of the RVs are looking at getting them towed, but nobody's towing RVs right now. I mean, they're just not, right? So this business owner of Atlas Construction, he said business owners in Magnolia's Inner Bay industrial area are also feeling emboldened. Just a few days ago, some of them purchased and placed eco blocks to line nearby streets. Now, what I got to say about that is when you have these eco blocks, it does stop the RVs. But it's kind of like when the Seattle Police Department put up these massive fences, and down in Portland, they put up these big fences around the federal building. It makes it look like a prison. So you've got these huge eco blocks kind of like creating this fortress around these block areas. And you're like, okay, what's going on here? I did notice in one of the videos that the eco blocks were placed so that regular sized cars could get in and park, but big RVs. It's hard to park an RV. I mean, those things are big. You got to take up a lot of space. And that's a lot of the complaint is these things are huge. Oftentimes they are in various stages of disrepair. The one RV that's got the homeless sound recording system is still going in Seattle. I believe it is still in the Ballard or nearby the Fremont Brewing Company. It used to be right behind the Fremont Brewing Company. The the homeless recording studio where they did a double decker and they built a platform on top of the RV. That is still in existence. I'm just not sure where. I need to get to the bottom of that. I will look into that. So if the city's not going to do anything about it, what are we to do? Said the owner of the Atlas Construction. Yeah, good question. Do you just sit around and hope the city at some point in time is going to do something somewhere? Or do you take matters into your own hands? And if it's $1,000 fine, you just say, well, I guess if you need to, fine me, but that's $1,000 well spent. So that's what we're doing. So we also asked Mayor Bruce Harrell if anything can be done to make sure this eco-block situation doesn't turn into a free-for-all, but no one from his office got back to us. Well, he is a busy guy. He's coming up with details on some initial changes that he's doing to the homeless response. During his first State of the City address, Mayor Bruce Harrell called homelessness in Seattle a crisis. His speech included details on how he's organizing city efforts to take action. He's got like 6 different agencies that are all, he was a little bit critical of the former administration mayor's office of how many different homeless thingaroos they've got going on. And he vowed to kind of streamline that. And he's working the issues, and I think he's coming up with game plans. It's just, how long is it going to take? And are these business owners going to be able to wait that long? Clearly not, because they're taking matters into their hands right now. So I will get some footage of this. I'm going to start doing some more out in the field type reporting and just see what's going on, because people seem to want to see that. And me sitting behind a desk, it's easier to record here. It's also kind of dangerous out there in Seattle. I mean, let's be honest. Some of the stuff places I go, I'm like, oh, yeah. Whew, yeah. Tricky, right? Okay, that's it for me on this one. Thank you so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.